it's Christine with Moonshine Safari and
Anthony with Moonshine Safari.
Woo!
Yeehaw.
We are up to chapter 18 of the Outlander books. The first book, Outlander, we are not yet. I thought we were going to be ready for another episode, but we're not quite yet. In fact, I think we'll probably have another chapter before the next episode. Review. Reminder, we have spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled for the books or the show, you shouldn't listen, but you do want to be spoiled, so you should listen.
Get spoiled.
Get spoiled. Anyway, so last time, Claire and Jamie were hiking and had some major Bom-Chicka-Wow time, and that's a new drinking game, so if you just drink water, you don't have to actually get drunk, but every time I say Bom-Chicka-Wow, that is my code word for them having some romantic time. They met Hugh Monroe last time, and we find out that Hugh carries messages for Jamie, and he's one of the people Jamie trusts. And he had his tongue cut out because he was tortured when he was captured by the Turks. But he's somebody that Jamie really does trust. We kind of met him, and the meeting in the show is good, and it just kind of compresses several interactions with Hugh Monroe into sort of one. So this chapter actually picks up with the group on the move again, because they had been kind of stationary after the wedding for Claire and Jamie to have a couple of days to have sort of wedding Bom-Chicka-Wow time.
Bom-Chicka-Wow.
Wow. Claire is kind of riding with Jamie and Dougal, and they're talking. Claire wants to know what Captain Randall said about the fact that she is now a Scot, and he doesn't have to turn her over. And Dougal basically thinks it's a little bit funny. He said he wasn't real happy, and that he used some colorful language that even Claire might have a hard time with, because Claire, being a female in the 1700s, she has kind of a sharp tongue for most women, and so it always surprised everybody. But he says that even Claire might have a hard time with some of the language that Captain Randall used. So it's kind of funny to him, but he says that essentially Captain Randall's not going to go picking a fight with the Mackenzie clan now that Claire is the niece of the Laird, which is Colum, and actually he's the niece of the war chief as well. I mean, she's the niece technically of Colum and Dougal, so he's probably not going to go picking a fight with them intentionally. In that conversation, Claire kind of looks around and realizes that she's not only linked to the Mackenzies, which she obviously is, but she's also linked to Jamie's clan, which is Fraser, which is the one of the offshoots of Lord Lovett, and it's a powerful lineage. I mean, there's I don't know how to say this. The main priest at an abbey. There's a lot of people that were kind of important in the Fraser clan. So she's Abbott. Yeah, is that it?
I don't know.
That sounds right.
Gotta look that stuff up.
But there's a lot of important people, and she's kind of now a member of this big lineage. So it's kind of interesting. She kind of dawns on her at one point. So they stop to eat after they've been traveling for the day, and they're having kind of story time. The Scots like to tell stories, and they don't let Claire help cook because they don't like her cooking. So they're eating, and they're getting some stories.
She's English.
Well, yeah, I don't think
no
that was ever her
to
forte.
The English, but I've seen, not that haggis is a wonderful thing from the Scots, but I'm just saying.
Doesn't sound like something I want to eat if you want to know the truth, but that's just me.
Yep.
Murtaugh is actually telling some stories, and it surprises Claire because he's supposed to be this really small guy, but he's got kind of a big, deep voice, and so she's kind of enjoying his story time. And then they switch over to Rupert, and she realizes they're not going to be sleeping. They're going to be sleeping sort of under cover a little bit, and she wants to know why they're not sleeping out in the open, because it's much cooler. And Jamie says, well, we're really close to the Grant lands, which is another clan. And that's a plot point for later, so that's just something you're going to want to remember. But they're really close to the Grant lands, and it's better for them not to sleep basically exposed. So he doesn't want to do that. All of a sudden, Rupert then takes over the storytelling, and he's telling about some Scottish lore, including the water horse's wife, which will be sort of a sideline kind of important thing in the next chapter. It's kind of fun. But he's talking about the water horse's wife. He's telling the whole story. She kind of feels the energy change around the circle. And she realizes that people are starting to pay more attention. It's not as relaxed as it was. Everybody's sort of getting tense. And she sort of pretends like she's going to kiss Jamie on the side of the face and whispers in his ear, what's going on? And then he kind of is returning the favor. And he said the horses are restless. There's got to be some near. And so they're kind of all getting ready, but they're trying to do it in a subtle way that no one could kind of pin on them.
Acting like everything's okay in the camp, but they're all full aware.
But they're aware.
Somebody's
Correct.
Coming into the camp or around the camp.
Exactly. And even so Murtaugh actually kind of ooches closer to her with being pretty subtle about it. And there's kind of an exchange between him and Jamie that it kind of makes it clear that Murtaugh is going to be in charge of making sure that Claire gets protected. And he also shows her quietly, he said there's this little rock alcove a little bit away. When it starts, you need to go and hide in there. And that's what you need to do. She has a knife on her. She doesn't really know how to use it, which becomes important as well, but she has one.
Pointy end goes in other
Pointy end goes in the other dude. But he's like, go hide, and then when it's over, we'll get you. So they all have their knives, and they're always wearing at least a knife. But Jamie has his claymore. Does that name of a sword make sense to you? See, that's something I don't know.
It's a two-handed sword. They're big.
He said it's like 15 pounds.
Yeah, that's big.
I mean, a big.
It's
sword.
not something you borrow when you're swinging around in a little campsite.
And he has it kind of wrapped up in his blanket because they weren't intending to use it, so it's not really next to him at that point. But it's not that far either. And so he tells her at one point. He kind of whispers. He goes, "Look, it's going to be really soon. I'll give you the sign." So all of a sudden, before you know it, it's sort of on. These men come running over the hills there, and there's just like this big fight going on. And it looks pretty brutal, and Claire has seen Jamie fight before, but when she's seen him fight, it's been mostly like practice fighting with Dougal and stuff like that, so she's never seen him in a real straight-on fight. And she says it's impressive, but definitely it's a scary thing. She's not really understanding what's happening. There's just a lot of fighting. She sees a horse disappear into the darkness, got taken, and she's kind of wondering, and she realizes eventually that I think Dougal actually says it was probably revenge for the raid that the Mackenzies did on the Grants earlier. And so it seems like it's dying down, but then all of a sudden it picks back up again. There's some other guys that sort of stumble into firelight, and they surround Dougal and Jamie, and Dougal and Jamie are sort of fighting back to back, and they're each covering each other's weak sides, and they're holding their own until Dougal gets cut on one of his arms, and it looks not great. All this time, Murtaugh has sort of had his gun trained, and Claire's wondering, well, why don't you fire? Why don't you fire? It turns out he doesn't fire because, well, these are 1700s era muskets, and the accuracy isn't always that great.
Oh, it's
and
not,
so,
because it's basically a non-rifled barrel shooting out
it's just
a ball of metal.
Right. So the problem is if he shoots, he could easily hit one of his own people, and he doesn't want to do that. And so he's kind of waiting, and then, but when it looks like they're actually in trouble, he kind of does step forward and he shoots. And when he shoots, it gives Jamie and Dougal the opportunity to sort of get back on their feet and get a handle on it, and they eventually win and take care of business, if you want to call it that. At the end of everything, they're talking about who got what and what injuries there are. And the injuries, I mean, they're injured, but it's not like life-threatening injuries. It's kind of something that they can handle.
This kind of these clans raiding each other, like she said, the Mackenzies probably raided the Grants from before, and this is just it reminds me of the whole. It must be the Norse genetics in them, the Vikings. They have to go raid your neighbor.
Yeah.
Anyway.
For why? But
so
then
dumb.
they all think it's a little bit fun. They've been doing this since they were knee-high to a grasshopper, like they like to say.
Since it came from probably their ancestors.
Since before, right. So, they don't take it that seriously. No one got killed. It's not like that.
You could get maimed. You could get killed.
Well, you could, and then they also took one of their people.
Right.
So they got a couple horses, and at first it doesn't look so bad, and then all of a sudden they realize one of their people is missing. And Jill was like, darn it, it's going to cost me a lot to get him back because they're going to ransom him. So essentially, they got what they were looking for. They're going to get some money out of the deal, and they got some more, they got a couple horses or whatever. So, again, Jamie says it's all in good fun, and Claire thinks that's kind of a weird way to say it, but okay. Turns out, apparently, a big fight is a big cause for Bom-Chicka-Wow time, according to somebody who is a warrior, apparently. And he wants to get busy, but they're all sleeping in a group of men, and Claire doesn't want to, and she's sort of fighting him-ish. I mean, let's be real. She's not super fighting him, but she's a little uncomfortable with the idea, but he really wants to, and so, of course, she kind of gives in to the Bom-Chicka. And they all, the next day, everybody's normal. No one pretends like they noticed anything or paid attention to anything. And people traveled like this all the time, and they still made babies, so you gotta wonder how that happened.
What do you mean, you gotta wonder? It wasn't too long ago the person just lived in one room and had a passel load of kids.
Babies and babies and babies.
And you got 14-year-olds all the way down to infants in the same room, a lot of them sleeping in the same bed. Okay, come on now. You gotta learn some way. We just didn't learn that way. But
So the next day, Dougal kind of gives them a break and says they're not going to go too far. They're going to rest pretty soon when they get to this one area with trees and stuff like that. They're going to feed the horses and do all that stuff. And Ned had actually found the knife that Jamie had given Claire. And Claire goes, well, it's mine. She goes, but like, I don't really know how to use it. And so Ned's like, of course, looking at Jamie in a sort of fatherly corrective way and said, you gave her a knife that she didn't know how to use. And so all of a sudden it is now lesson time. In the show, they have Angus teaching Claire how to use the knife. In the books, it's Rupert because they say he's the best one with the knife. And so it's not as simple as it's like the joke about the pointing end goes in the other guy. But you got to know where to put it, because if you don't, like, a big part of it is you got to be careful. You don't want to hit the ribs or the breastbone or anything, because your knife's going to get stuck. You're probably not going to kill him, and he can come get you now. And so it's a matter of learning where you want to hit him. If you're really trying to kill him, here's where you're going to do it, and here's how. And especially because Claire's a woman, she doesn't have this kind of strength a lot of these guys do, and so it's also about to sort of leverage her strength the most that she possibly can. All of this becomes very important. So then after this, we have a little side conversation with Claire and Dougal about what Colum is going to think about her marrying into the family. And Dougal thinks it's a little bit funny, but they talk a little bit more about this, and we've kind of touched on it before, what all of the dynamics are playing into why Dougal wanted Claire to marry Jamie. But they have a little side conversation about this, and then after her lesson, the chapter is kind of ending where they pronounce her a novice knife wielder. And, you know,
if you play video games, that means you get the crappiest little wood knife that's not even sharp. So then she'll get to move up to get better things.
She will get, well, and then also you get to have more Bom-Chicka-Wow time. Frank, who? Where's Frank?
Frank is probably
still in Scotland looking for her.
Maybe.
In the show, it's
How
a
long
little
has
bit.
it been?
Okay, so she got married to Jamie. They said like roughly 6 weeks after she went to the Stone.
So you're
I mean,
about
it's maybe like 7 weeks at the most. I would
it's
think.
only been 2 months.
Yeah,
He's still looking for her.
He's got to be still looking for her
He's still
at
looking
that
for
point.
her.
They show it a little bit in the episodes. It's kind of interesting, which we'll cover when we do the episode. But they kind of give a little bit more theoretical information about what Frank might have been doing during this time. But anyway, otherwise, if you want to, please check out MoonshineSafari.com for our previous episodes and check those out. Let me know what we're missing. And also, we have some other cool merchandise you might want to look at. MoonshineSafari.com. We are all over like Instagram, YouTube, all the social media places.
Yeah, speaking of YouTube, thank you all. We have over 500 subscribers.
Woo!
Thank you all very much.
Great.
We
Yeah,
really
thanks.
appreciate it. That's huge for us, and we really
It is
appreciate
huge
it.
for
And
us.
keep sharing, and if you're liking, keep liking. That helps with the algorithm. I know you hear this on every channel because that's true.
Because it's
and
true.
You know how Google works, and we're just trying to have some fun,
Right.
and we appreciate you coming along for the ride.
Exactly. Thanks. And check it out and see what you think.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, we will pick it up with chapter 19 the next time. And then I think after that, we're going to be up to episode 8.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.